Hello, welcome back to Top Shutter Sports. Brett here with you. It's been a while. Good to see everyone again. Kind of getting used to the new format we're doing here, so bear with me. We're going to start with MLB based on the shirt. So, what's going on in the MLB right now? Let me move that out of the way. The betting odds are out. We all know what has been happening with the Houston Astros and how angry every team is, and there's a lot of talk that blah, 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 nobody's happy with them. Nobody's happy. No other team, no player. Even LeBron James has had input on this, so it's bad. Their over-under for hit by pitches on the season is set at 83 coming into the year because we all expect them to get beamed. With that said, new commissioner Rob Manfred has already taken steps to try to combat this, and they are tightening their rules for intentional hit by pitches and everything, raising the fines in preparation, but it's still going to happen. I'll take the over on that. Also, speaking of Rob Manfred, he's been doing a great job, hasn't he? He recently called the World Series trophy a, quote, piece of metal. So that really, ups the importance of cut there. We got to switch to the next part. Right then. So speaking of cheating and getting bans, Manchester City has recently received a 2-year UEFA ban, as well as a 30 million euro fine, which is really pennies for them. But a 2-year UEFA ban, meaning no Champions League, no Europa League for them. Why is this important? Well, to put it briefly, because we're going to be brief here, basically, this opens up opportunities for every other Premier League team. So essentially, for example, right now, Manchester City is second in the table, but since they're not allowed to be in the Champions League, that means whoever is currently in fifth, normally it's the top four get in the Champions League, whoever is currently in fifth will actually get their spot, which means that whoever's in sixth and seventh will be getting the Europa League spots, which is normally 5th and 6th. So yes, this is a big deal because they're still going to finish at the top of the table this year and next, but they won't be in the Champions League, so more opportunities for teams like my Everton to finally make either the Europa League or the Champions League. Next. All right, so back in my element now. Let's talk that hockey. A lot to talk about in the NHL, but I had to pick just the few main stories, all of which are trades. As the trade deadline is approaching, a lot of moves are already happening. So, right into it. Alec Martinez goes from the LA Kings to the Golden Knights for 2 second-round picks. I really like this move for the Knights. They're going to be making the playoffs. The Kings are not. Kings get 2 draft picks for him, which is great. Still a very quality defenseman. Next, Marco Scandella to the Blues for 2 picks from the Canadiens to the Blues. Pretty much copy and paste what I just said about Alec Martinez. That applies here. Brandon Dillon from the Sharks to the Capitals for 2 picks. Copy, paste, same there. Tyler Toffoli goes from the Kings to the Canucks. This was for a 2nd-round pick, a conditional 4th-round pick. Tyler Madden, a decently promising prospect, and Tim Schaller. Canucks mainly did this move because Brock Besser will be out for 8 weeks with an injury. So essentially up until, and maybe including a little bit, the playoffs. So Tyler Toffoli slots right there on their top 6. He is currently skating with Miller and Pettersson on that same line Besser was on. That's mainly why they did it. Toffoli, very solid player. I've always liked him. Good two-way game. And in other news, Alex Ovechkin is now just 1 goal away from hitting 700 next. Okay, so I know the NFL's not in season. The XFL is. XFL news, they have more games coming up this weekend. You can watch it on Fox, ABC, and ESPN. To the NFL, Jordan Reed, longtime Redskins tight end, has been released by the team. Greg Olsen, longtime Panthers tight end, has signed a 1-year deal with the Seahawks. It'll be interesting to see where Jordan Reed goes. And then there's talk, the league wants to basically change up some rules in the new CBA, one of those being expanding the playoffs to 7 teams from each conference making it, meaning only the top seed would get a bye, and the players would be getting paid during the playoff bye week, which doesn't happen now, so that's their incentive to do this. So instead of 2 teams getting a bye, 1 team will, and there'll be 7 teams from each. Not sure how I feel about this yet. I mean, I do, but I'm not going to get into it. And then lastly, Greg Robinson of the Cleveland Browns, of all teams, is facing up to 20 years in prison after 157 pounds of marijuana was found in his rental car. I'm going to say that one more time. 157 pounds of marijuana in his rental car. Stay off the weed. Last but not least, let's talk some NBA. Kyrie Irving has been voted, I guess, or nominated or whatever, as the new NBA Players Association vice president, replacing Pau Gasol. And in other news, Kyrie Irving also just underwent season-ending shoulder surgery, so he's out for the year. This hurts the Nets. Obviously, they're in a playoff position right now, and now they're without Irving and Durant for the rest of the year. They're going to be a really scary team next year, but for this year, that kind of sucks. That kind of hurts them. Victor already covered all of the All-Star weekend. The games are kind of just starting up now again, so there's really not much else to talk about. And now Victor said that we get like a minute to just rant about whatever we want. So for that minute, I would like to talk more about Alexander Ovechkin. So Ovechkin is 1 goal away from 700. He's well on pace to match or pass Gretzky. Basically, you'd have to play like 7 more years, and we talked about this in a former episode or whatever. But just to reach 700 in general is pretty freaking incredible. So I'd love to see him do it. I hope he does it. I see him about at 8 minutes already, so I'm just going to stop it there. That'll do it for Top Cheddar this episode. Leave a like, leave a comment, smash the subscribe button, follow us on TikTok, follow us on Twitter, and tell your friends about us, and I will see you sometime soon.